Hello everyone, welcome once again to Primetime Analysis. Now, we know that looking at the tangent that President William Ruto is taking when it comes to management of political affairs, he is of the desire that his party remains to be a long-living party and not just party for winning and losing elections. If you look at the history of parties or political parties for that matter, many of them have been formed for the sole purpose of making government, and then after that they get disbanded. One of the things we can know is that from the history of our country, you'd realize that first of all we had NAC Kenya, NAC, National Rainbow Coalition, that got into power in 2002. After that, the people who came together to form this party disagreed and they went in their own different political parties. We then got to 2007, and in that year, the party that got into power that brought President Mwai Kibaki was changed, and President Mwai Kibaki was coming to a re-election with a new party, which was the PNU party. This PNU, after that election, it died. And then we had 2013, where Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta got into power through TNA party. In their term, in that first term, they managed to make the TNA party merge with UDA and other 14 affiliate parties to form one behemoth called Jubilee Party. This Jubilee Party, at the end of that second term of President Uhuru Kenyatta, we realized that it kind of crumbled and got to be something that is not even a shadow of its former self. So the history is already there, and it reveals that many political parties that manage to get to power do not live past the period of election within which they were formed. For this purpose, it has been in the heart and desire of President William Ruto, both while he was still a deputy president and even now when he is the president, to have a party that has history, a party that can be associated to a specific ideology. And that is why you realize, even before the failure of Jubilee, their main intention of creating and forming that party was to ensure that we have one mainstream party that can direct ideologies of a certain group of people. Then they were also pushing the opposition parties to come together and also form one party so that we can have two strong and main parties in this country. But that did not come to fruition. Having been chased away from Jubilee, the president formed UDA party. And in this UDA party, he started alone because he wanted to first of all create a strong party that has his desire and policies. Then he went ahead to accommodate certain people who came in as a coalition. And you know right now that that coalition is Kenya Kwanza, which is also the ruling coalition. Kenya Kwanza has an affiliation of, it has members of around 13 political parties, and that is what forms it. But now, one thing turns out that some of those in this party, in fact, it is said that out of the 13, 6 parties have been sorted in terms of their coalition agreement and everything. But 7 other parties that formed this coalition are complaining that their side of the bargain was not met and that they were ignored and sidelined during appointment of state officials in different capacities. So we know that there is this desire for William Ruto to have a strong party come 2027. And that is why Cleopas Malala, who is the SG of UDA, has been pushing different parties to come together and fold so that they can form one big party that is full of all those people who chose to side with Kenya Kwanza and UDA for that matter. So in this analysis, I want us to probe an article that was presented yesterday in Daily Nation newspaper, where they were talking of the refusal of UDA, not specifically UDA, but Kenya Kwanza affiliate parties to fold and join into one behemoth of a party. The different secretary generals have opposed that desire by UDA to fold so that they can join one party, that is Kenya Kwanza, or whatever name they will choose to give it. So I want us to look at this and examine whether this political strategy will live and ensure that William Ruto gets his second term without any challenge, or whether the refusal of these members can lead to a failure of the president getting his desire at the end of the day. Before we do that, please, if you're watching us for the first time, kindly take a minute to subscribe to our channel, and also you can like this video at the end of it. And if you are already subscribed and you are a returning viewer, we thank you for that great support, and remember, we don't take that support for granted. So let's get down to our main issues. Now, if we look critically, you would realize that UDA party began serious political activities long time ago. UDA, once it got to power, planned an array of activities aimed at ensuring that they revamp and strengthen their party. And for me, I believe this is a genius move by President William Ruto, because most presidents, once they get to power, their main purpose is always to get and consolidate the power and forget about the political parties that took them to office. And this has been one of the main undoing of our presidents when they get to power. But William Ruto took a different tangent here. He decided to ensure that even as he's focusing on leading the country, he's also working hard in the background to ensure that his political party remains to be a very, very, very strong party come next election and even in other future elections. And I believe if you look at William Ruto's history and how he has been, you would believe he is somebody who is desiring to have one consolidated party that contains full ideologies of everybody that thinks or aligns themselves to that line of thought. And this is what he is trying to force on his party. Therefore, they started first with mass party registration. And Cleopas Malala was first changed and introduced as a new Secretary General going forward to ensure that party activities were conducted in an amicable manner. So Malala came out, started party registrations in different regions, went to Nyanza, Homa Bay County, went to Kisumu County, went to Migori County, went to Kisii County, went to Coastal Region. He also went to Marsabit and the larger northeastern region. He's also been to western part of the country, western Kenya. He's also been to Ukambani and many other parts of the country. So he's focusing on revamping this party and ensuring that at the grassroots, the party gets to have a huge membership. And in some instances, they've even dangled state appointments or even job recruitment for these people to ensure that they lure them easily to get to register to UDA party. So this is a strong and a straight move by UDA party to ensure that even as it is focusing on ruling and governance, it is also revamping and strengthening its party to have a huge membership that can make it have easier way of getting a re-election. Now, in this plan of also strengthening UDA and ensuring that it grows, they have been pushing for folding of affiliate parties and joining together to have one big political party. And you realize that earlier, Cleopas Malala was pushing that Musalia Mudavadi, who is also right now a state appointment, a state employee, a state official. And then we have Moses Masika Wetangula, who is also a party leader and is also a state official. He wanted these people to relinquish their roles and leadership positions as leaders of political parties. Musalia Mudavadi succeeded in doing that and left his position and gave it to one Issa Timami, who is also governor of Lamu County. And then you would realize that the next big question was Moses Wetangula. Moses Wetangula, by himself, has refused to let go of that political party, and he's there put and pushing on with his Ford Kenya party. We also have the Senate Speaker, Amason Kingi. Amason Kingi is a party leader of the PAR, and that PAR has also not changed its leadership structure to accommodate new officials and leaving out these leaders who are working for the state. So that is something that has been bringing conflicts and issues there. And this even threatened to sabotage president's meeting in Western Kenya that was happening this weekend that just passed. One would ask, why is the president so focused on having one political party or ensuring that these other parties get to fold and join UDA to form one big party? There are many angles to this, but I think one thing that William Ruto wants to do is to have full control of his camp. You know, when people have different political parties, it is easier for any group that disagrees with the policy to just leave and go and say that if we are not comfortable here, if you're not doing and working according to our demands, we can go. And we are in our party, you can go and join the other political affiliation. And that is a threat and a card that many political parties have been holding against coalition leaders. So this is something that is there. So William Ruto wants to have full control over this party. And when a party, you know, the main structure and main power center is always at the political leader position. So if you look at this, if they let, let's say, ANC of Musalia Mudavadi, Ford Kenya of Wetangula Pa, of Amason Kingi, and many other, even DP of Justin Muturi, the AG, if they fold, these people will not be having much strength in the new political outfit that will be formed. So this is something that is pushing members of other parties not to accept this issue of folding, because they want to have their freedom. They want to have a way in which they can engage freely and have an easy access to other positions or even issues that they would want addressed. Second reason why William Ruto is focused on having one single political party. For me, I would say this. I have read the signs and I've looked at them keenly. And to some extent, I am convinced that William Ruto's desire could be to have term limits extended. We saw that first with a member of parliament from Northeastern region. I don't remember him. I don't know if it was Mandera MP or somebody. But in the first few weeks of the inauguration, and when they got to parliament, his first agenda or his first proposal and idea was that they wanted to change and remove this issue about term limits. Now then, we also have an MP, I think from Nyandarua County. I'm forgetting his name. But he was also just the other week pushing and saying that term limits are things that do not allow presidents to work perfectly. And therefore, to ensure that presidents complete their development agenda, it is important that these term limits are removed. And he was public and confident, saying that he's pushing and creating a bill to have term limits removed from our constitution. So if you look at those who are proposing this removal of term limits, all of them are affiliated to UDA party, and all of them are in the party of the president. What would that tell you? It is a strategy that the government is using to test grounds and hear what other people's opinions is or are when it comes to understanding or talking about that question of term limit removal. Then they will bring bills and they will have them implemented so that the president can rule until the end of when he wants to rule. And one thing we know, the president has his friends regionally. And as of now, we know that some of his close friends, one of them is Museveni, who has never left power since he got into that seat. We also have Kagame, who has also never left his position since he took that power. So, looking at his age, looking at his desire, looking at what he's doing globally, there are many arrows that point towards desire to extend term limits in his leadership period. So I do not know how much he will succeed with this, but that could be a reason why this formation could be required. The third reason why William Ruto is so obsessed of having one political party, our country remains highly tribal when it comes to politics. Currently, if you look at this leadership, the UDA party was majorly two tribes, presented by each of the senior principal in that party. The Kalenjins were represented by William Ruto, and then the Kikuyus were represented by Rigathi Gachagua. Now, they brought in other parties from different regions because we know parties are always ethnicized in one way or the other. So they brought them to also answer the national inclusivity question that was posed to them during their time of campaigning. So to look as a national party, they have a desire to have the parties coming from different regions get joined together to have or push for one party that can have a national outlook and can be considered to be a party that does not have specific regions in its plan, but the whole country for that matter. So, in the desire to have his party seen as a national party, William Ruto is keen to have UDA form or join with other parties to be a big party, just like Jubilee that they had the other time. But what is the flip side of this? Do we think the folding will succeed or it will not? For me, my opinion is that I don't think that will succeed, because if you look at history of coalitions in this country, it is also pointing at immediately after formation, they are always broken and disintegrated after elections are completed. That is same with the NAC coalition, it is same with the CORD coalition, same with the NASA coalition, same with the Jubilee coalition or the Jubilee party that happened. People, once they joined, those who are joining together to form this party also broke away and they went. So many people think that having one political party or joining that one political party where they do not feel stronger or highly represented can deprive them of their democratic right or political bargain that they can have when negotiating for space or even for positions that they want for their different people all over. So that is something that can really hinder this dream from being actualized. I don't know how the president will maneuver his ways around this question, but I believe that desire might not really live to see the light of day, because many people have been beaten before. They do not want to engage in what Jubilee got into, or even what NASA and other parties got into. That's my take as per the issue of folding political parties and joining to have UDA become a bigger party. Let's get your views down in the comment section, and please remember to always subscribe to our channel and like this video at the end of your watching. Thank you, and let's meet in our next analysis. Goodbye.